All right, welcome to the I want to say eighth episode. I think eighth
Yeah,
episode
number
of
eight.
the Strictly Sports Podcast. Today I'm joined by Mike. Um, we're gonna touch on a few things. Quick note: this is being recorded Tuesday, May 25th, and within the past few days we've gotten a lot of news with the NFL. First off, let's just talk about Julio Jones. I mean, we all
Great
know we
stuff
all
happening, man.
we all know how good he is. That's just we know how good he is. He's that dude. He's a top three receiver in the league right now. That being said, we all know Atlanta, they're struggling. But more than that, Julio got a call from Shannon Sharp on Skip Bayless's show.
Yeah, it's called
He said,
Undisputed.
yeah, he said, I'm out of here. And they asked him about Dallas, and he said, nah, I want to win. So, yeah, that's a bit
Exactly.
funny. I'm not going to lie. But the more important thing isn't that he said what he said about Dallas. Is that he was just like, yeah, I'm out of here. I'm not playing for Atlanta.
And
Now,
now, I mean, look, you could take that two ways. I take that as out of here. Now, when we talk about, he says out of here, like he didn't know he was on air. He could be joking. I'm not 100% sure, but there's definitely some
he had to have
obviously
known he was on
concern.
air.
Yeah, if he was on air, I
Like,
mean,
it just, you can't do that. You can't call him and not let him know you're going to interview him. You just
Well,
you can't.
I think they did though. They did. He just called him up out of nowhere. He's like, "What's going on, bro?" And like that's what he did. He
I don't
called him
know.
up out of the blue.
It pretty much goes against, like, anything you can do. Like, it's not, like, illegal, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of like you don't do that,
I understand. I know where you're
Like,
coming from.
ethically wrong. Or, like,
Yeah,
morally.
exactly.
So while he's not going to get in trouble, Shannon Sharp's not going to get in trouble for it if Julio didn't know. It's kind of like you don't do that because, like, that could mess up a bunch of stuff in the league. That being said, where do you think Julio goes, and what do you think his value is worth?
As of right now, I would definitely put Tennessee up there, and I put Tennessee. I'd put Baltimore. I think I really see him go into Tennessee. That receiver core would be insane. Him and AJ Brown,
Yeah.
two of the most elite receivers in today's game. AJ Brown loves Julio,
Yeah.
and he just left Julio a message today, like saying,
Yeah, I
"Man,
saw that.
bro, you gotta come to Tennessee."
Yeah, I mean,
And if he went to
everyone's trying to
Tennessee,
recruit him now.
exactly. But I'm saying if he went to Tennessee, I think that they would
They're going to be
probably
good
be
because,
Super Bowl contenders.
personally, I think without Julio Jones, Tennessee is not going to be good this year. Just because I think they lost so much. They lost Corey Davis, Johnny Smith. They lost their offensive coordinator. They lost most of their secondary. So I don't think they're going to be good this year, but adding Julio Jones completely changes that. With
Oh
that
yeah,
being said, the two teams I see that would pursue Julio Jones, I think, are the Titans, like you said, and I also like the Chargers a lot.
oh yeah. I
Like,
forgot about the
I
Chargers. I
think
would love
I
that.
think
I
the
would love them for
Chargers
the
have
Chargers.
23 million cap space, maybe 22 or 24, but about there. So they could want to afford him. And I
And with
don't think
Justin Herbert,
I personally I don't think Julio is going to go for that much. I think he should go for more than he will. I think he's going to go for a second rounder and then a later round draft pick. But I think this is because he's pretty much publicly demanded a trade.
yeah, basically.
He hasn't said, like, yes, I demand a trade from Atlanta, but he's like, yeah, I'm out of here. Like, he said,
Exactly.
I don't want to be here. So
Yeah.
that makes his value go down. So he could just go for a second. I don't see teams giving up a first. And I,
No. I think I got a notification today that they said that Atlanta's gonna ask for a first.
yeah, but the thing is, Atlanta has to trade him now.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
they have to trade him, but they're not giving him up without a first. There's no way.
I don't see it because Julio has so much power. And, like, you could say, like, yeah, well, it's the organization. But
And
Julio has
listen,
done for them.
I know we're not in the topic of hockey right now, but this is what I'm talking about with Jack Eichel. It's kind of the same thing. You're
Yeah,
saying
I got you.
not like this. That's what I'm trying to say. But Julio Jones, I think he's definitely going to go for a first. Maybe not extra players, but I think
I,
there's
I
no
think
way he's
I
not
think
going to
he
go for a
should,
first
but I
round
don't think
pick.
he will.
For a first round pick?
Julio definitely should. He's worth a first to me. But
Easily.
the thing is, if everyone's offering up seconds and thirds, why would I offer a first? Like,
How do you know everybody's offering up seconds and thirds?
because they've pretty much said it, and teams
Who?
aren't going to give up a first if he's already demanded a trade. I believe Schefter said it.
I
Real
didn't
quick,
see any. I
real
didn't
quick.
see anything about that.
We talked a few minutes ago about how AJ Brown was recruiting him. You also got D Hop posting on Instagram. You had
Oh
Jalen
yeah, I
Ramsey
saw
say
that. Yeah.
something. You had Marlon Humphrey. I want to say Devonte Adams commented on like D Hop's post, which was funny. But
Yeah, I
like,
think
I mean,
so.
everyone's trying to get Julio, and why wouldn't you? He's just
Exactly. I mean, there's
he's
just
so good.
he's the best receiver in the game when he's healthy, and it's not. And
Yeah.
frankly, it's not even
The
that
problem
close.
is, will he stay healthy?
I think he'll stay healthy this
I
year
hope
because
so.
I mean, listen, if he's 30 years old now, he's coming off a season, didn't have the greatest season, he was injured.
But
Now,
when he played, he was great.
yeah, exactly. Now, if he goes to a really good team like I think the Chargers will be a solid team this year, or the Titans, or even the Ravens, for that matter, I think he could tear it up, be a top. He's going to be the top receiver this year on one of those teams. He's going to be lights out this year because he wants to prove to the whole entire NFL that, I mean, he's here and he's here to stay, and whoever offered the right amount to get this type of receiver.
I mean, he's so good, and I agree with you. I'm not saying he's worth less than a first. I think he's worth a first, but he publicly demanded a trade, so his trade value is not what it deserves to be, maybe. And I don't see teams giving up a first, especially if him coming off an injury season. That being said, while he was great, when he played, he only played, I think, 6 games, and he was limited in some of those games too. Like, it's not like he played the entire game. When he did play, like 2020 week 1, he had 9 receptions for 157 yards. 2020 week 7, he had 8 receptions for 97 yards. Like, he played well in all of his games, but he didn't play a lot, and that concerns me. I don't know how much I would give up for a receiver that, I don't want to say injury prone, but is coming off an injury riddled season.
Now, Nate, I agree. You don't want to give up a lot, but this isn't a torn ACL injury that we're talking about
Oh,
here.
no, it's
This
not
is
a torn ACL.
it's an injury. People get injured, but you have to understand something. This is Julio Jones. You're not giving up a first round pick for Julio Jones. That's out of the equation that people are giving up a first round pick for Julio Jones. It's not going to be a second pick for Julio Jones. And I understand where you're coming from, an injury perspective, but he's the top receiver at his game, even when he's not injured. I mean, even when he is injured. Like, he's Julio Jones. People are giving up a first round pick for him at least a first round pick. That's absurd to say that they're not giving up a first round pick for him.
If I agree with you, but the thing is, he publicly requested a trade. If he didn't request a trade,
yeah, but just so what if they requested a trade? What, like, I understand that it devalues the trade a little bit, but that people are going to say, oh, first round pick, that's fine. The first round pick that people are going to get, if it's to the Ravens or someone like the Chargers, you're not going to get a caliber player like Julio Jones. Who are you going to get? Maybe a wide receiver too. So, like, they're not going to get a caliber player like Julio
it
Jones.
could be a late first, but it's not going to be like a very high value, a crazy high value pick. Like, that's still worth a lot.
It depends what team. The teams that are low really can't afford them. Like, a lot of
Yeah.
the teams, like the Chargers, are the only team that are low but aren't going to be that low this year because they just they're loaded on each side.
Yeah,
They have
their
a lot of
stacked now. They have one
their
of the
O-line.
they
Well, look,
completely.
I don't know about one of the. They should keep restocking. I think that they should draft another tackle, even maybe next year, a top tackle. Because if you have Rashawn Slater on one side and another really good tackle on the other, get that O-line built up. I mean, Derwin James, I think, is probably one of the best safeties, if not the best safety when healthy. And Joey Bosa, the pass rusher. This team could go in the future.
Derwin James is so good, but he played 5 games in the last 2 seasons?
Yeah, exactly. That's the only thing I can't say about him.
Like, don't get me wrong. I love Derwin James, and I think he's most definitely, and it's not even close, he's the most talented safety in the league. But
Yeah,
when is he healthy? Like, we're
exactly.
really judging him off of his one rookie season, which was great.
And
He
you're
is
totally right.
incredible. But as of now, I think the best safeties in the league are Minkah Fitzpatrick and Jesse Bates, just because
Yeah.
they've proven it.
Now, okay, people think that Jamal Adams. They bring up Jamal Adams.
He's very good. Don't get me wrong.
Jamal Adams. I don't consider Jamal Adams a safety. I consider him as a threat all around the defensive side of the ball. He could pass rush. He could tackle. He can play in coverage. He can do that.
Everyone says like, oh, Jamal Adams is just blitz boy this, blitz boy that.
Yeah, that's not true.
This was really his only bad year in coverage. And he was injured the entire year.
Exactly.
It's almost the same thing.
They used him as a pass rusher. That's another thing. They used him as a pass rusher. So
somehow Adam Gase used him better than Pete Carroll.
Exactly. So I don't know why people are giving him hate for this. I think Jamal Adams, as a safety, I think Minkah Fitzpatrick is the best. But as an all around player,
I go Jesse Bates, but Minka's two for me.
So. I think it's Minkah, but I thought too. Now,
what'd you say? You were cutting out a lot. What'd you say? Could you repeat that?
I said that I go with Minkah. But Jesse Bates is also just as talented and very good. Yeah. I'd give the edge to Minkah, but also Jamal Adams is great, and I would definitely put him in the top three. If Derwin James,
I don't know if I'd put him top three. I think if I would go some of the best safeties, I would go Bates, Minkah, and then this is where it's tough because like I feel like there's like 7 or 8 really good safeties, but at the same time, one of them has to be ranked 7 or 8, and I think I would probably have Budda Baker 3. This is where it's tough.Maybe Jamal Adams 4. Maybe Jamal 4. But then you still got Harris.
Let's put this into perspective that Derwin James is healthy.
But I get that if he's healthy, I think he is the best safety in the league. But out of the past 32 games, he's played 5. He's played 5 games over the past 2 seasons, and I feel like the when healthy argument, sometimes it works, but just not in this case. Just because he's been so limited over the past 2 years. That being said,
you're right.
He's so good when he's on the field. He's great. He's great in man. He's great in zone. He's a great tackler. He's so talented.
He reminds me of Jamal Adams, just way better in coverage. And he's just as big. Like, that's the thing. He's basically a Jamal Adams body, just more athletic and I think better as a pass coverage. Better in pass coverage.
I could see that. So I don't know how we really got here from Julio, but if we could go on to something real quick. With all this Julio news, I think what's going on in Green Bay was really left without I guess speculation or coverage just because of Julio. But Aaron Rodgers didn't show up to training camp. And that's on top of that,
but doesn't he
neither did his wide receivers.
I didn't hear about that.
The wide receivers weren't there. I'm going to Adam Schefter right now to find the exact list, but I know Devontae Adams wasn't there.
Wow, that's crazy.
Aaron Rodgers wasn't the only Packer missing on organized team activity today. So are Green Bay's wide receivers. Devontae Adams, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Alan Lazard, Devin Funchess, and I'm gonna butcher this, but Equinamius St. Brown. So Jordan Love had to work with a makeshift wide receiver crew. Now, we know Aaron Rodgers is upset. We know he's upset, and I do think Aaron Rodgers is treating Jordan Love right just because he doesn't want him to go through what – he doesn't want Love to go through what he went through when Brett Favre was like his mentor. So he is treating Jordan Love right, but it's the I believe he said it was the lack of communication. And I do think Aaron Rodgers, I don't think he plays another snap for Green Bay.
So you don't think Aaron Rodgers plays another snap for Green Bay?
I can't see it.
I think that Green Bay is in a tough situation right now. And that's just stating the obvious. They're in a very big situation. What are they going to get for Aaron Rodgers? They can't get too much, too little. Who knows what they're going to get because he demanded the trade. Now, if it's up to me, I don't know what team has the value to give
Maybe
up
the Broncos.
besides the Broncos. I was just about to say,
Maybe the
but
Raiders too.
who
But
wants to go to the Broncos or the Raiders? I don't think he would want to go there. He wouldn't be able to win in those types of
I
situations.
think he could win. The Broncos roster, I really like their roster. But the thing is, even though
Not he's not getting past the Chiefs or the Bills in that roster. There's no way.
I don't know. I really like the
They have
Broncos
that.
defense.
Hey, I'm telling you, they have great talent. But the Broncos, what were they this year? They had the ninth pick. I
They
mean,
also
that's
had a
not,
lot of injuries. You got to remember that.
and that's another thing. You got injuries.
Yeah,
So why would
but
you
I
want to
mean,
go to a team?
also Drew Lock was their QB.
Yes, I know that
Yeah,
he was there, but I still don't think that they can win with Aaron Rodgers. I know Aaron Rodgers is great, but if you put him in that situation, they definitely go to the playoffs, but they're not getting past the Chiefs. They're not getting past the Bills. For maybe even the Raiders. I mean the Ravens.
I don't know. I think that would be a very good team if they got Aaron
Oh,
Rodgers.
it would be a very good team. Just
But
I
I
don't
mean,
see
you
it
also
happen.
got to think how much would they have to give up? Because you got to
Mhm.
assume Bradley Chubb is in that deal.
Exactly.
They
Bradley
would have
Chubb is
to
a
give up
huge
so
part
much.
of that
It
defense.
pretty much ruins both teams. Aaron Rodgers, the Green Bay Packers, and whoever trades for Aaron Rodgers, unless it's an absolute steal, it's going to be a lose-lose situation. Unless you can get Aaron Rodgers for like a first-round pick and that's it, you're
No,
not
that's
going
not
to trade
happening.
like that. We know that's not happening. That's just like a dumb example. But like, you
Exactly.
would have to absolutely fleece the Packers for it to work
And
because you
I
would
don't.
have to give up. Otherwise, the amount you have to give up is just so ridiculously large. Like for the Broncos,
Yeah,
you would have to give up a first or two plus Bradley Chubb and another roster player at
that's
least.
insane. Yeah, that's just insane.
Like you have to give up so much for him that you're almost in a lose-lose situation.
Yeah,
But
I
what
agree.
what about the wide receivers? What's going on there? Like, are they on strike?
I don't know. I mean, I think that
This was per Adam Schefter.
I think they really like Aaron Rodgers, and maybe that's why
Yeah,
they don't. They just say like do what he wants, and maybe even try to get Julio Jones. I mean, how would they if they could pull that off? Then that
yeah.
would be
I don't
insane.
see that happening.
Yeah, I don't see it happening either. But I mean, hey, if they're in desperation mode and they want to get Julio Jones for Aaron Rodgers, that could definitely bring him back in if they get Julio Jones. And if they get Julio Jones, they would be my Super Bowl favorites.
Yeah, I mean, if they were to keep Aaron Rodgers, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
exactly.
I don't know. Maybe what if I don't think this would happen, but what if they said we'll send you Jordan Love back? That way, Atlanta has a young QB to develop behind Matt Ryan.
Oh, I would definitely take
That
that.
would be an interesting situation. I don't think any of this is going to happen just because it's so far out and like
Yeah.
so far out of the box as well. Like I don't see it happening.
Yeah,
But
I'm not a huge
like
fan of Jordan Love, but
at the same time, it's the off season. There's not much content. Like we're just trying to have fun and talk about the little things we do know here and just come up with like extended situations. But that would be a very interesting situation.
yeah, definitely.
Um, Now NHL playoffs. We know a few rounds have wrapped up, right? You had
Yeah.
Edmonton got swept by Winnipeg, and while that is obviously, oh, they're so bad they got swept. Like three of those games were in OT, right?
Yeah.
Three of those games were in OT.
I got one this is my clear answer to this.
Go for it.
I have one I have how many were? I got one thing to say.
Yeah.
Where's McDavid? Where's McDavid?
Wasn't
I
he point
see
per game?
no. He had 3 points he had 3 secondary assists. Secondary assists don't give me all that. Okay. Now listen. McDavid is a great player. I have no hate towards McDavid.
The best
I
player
love
in the league.
McDavid. He's the best player in the world. But in the playoffs, he's not the best player. It's Nathan McKinnon, and it's
I
not
mean,
even close.
he also
Is Nathan McKinnon is insane in the playoffs. He just swept the Blues. He had I think he had a hat trick in one game. He had 2 goals in another game, 2 assists in another game. He's just been racking up points. He is by far the best player in the playoffs. And if you ask me, who I want in the playoffs, I'm taking McKinnon over McDavid. McDavid did not perform in the playoffs.
I
He
mean,
just
McDavid
didn't.
also has no team around him.
What do you mean no team? Leon Draisaitl was second in scoring and first in scoring last year.
And that's it.
What do you mean no team?
Who else? Who
What?
else do you have? Ryan Nugent-Hopkins? Darnell Nurse?
Ryan Nugent-Hopkins
39-year-old
is a
Mike
solid.
Smith in that?
Hey, Nugent-Hopkins is a solid player. Darnell Nurse is a good defenseman. They are, and don't give me. They have Yamamoto, a young player who has some promise.
They have 4 or 5 people
Jesse
on that
Puljujarvi.
team. McDavid
Jesse
and Draisaitl
Puljujarvi.
have to carry. Puljujarvi?
Hey, but Nate, that doesn't take away the fact that Connor McDavid didn't show up in the playoffs. Nathan McKinnon did. Nathan McKinnon isn't playing with Landeskog on his line in the playoffs. It's Mikko Rantanen and that plays on his wing.
Rantanen's still a great player.
And yeah, he is. But Leon Draisaitl is a great player too.
Yeah.
So Philip Grubauer is their goalie. He's not a great goalie by any means.
He's better than Mike Smith.
He is, but he's not great. He's not great. And another thing, they have Cale Makar on defense. That's great. I don't know another defenseman on that team besides that.
Daves?
I don't know who. Oh, that's the guy on the Islanders. Okay, I'm just saying.
Samuel Girard.
That's you. I don't know who these guys are. I could name. I know that Darnell Nurse is on that team. He's a solid defenseman, but that doesn't take away the fact Nathan McKinnon didn't. I mean, Connor McDavid did not show up in the playoffs, and Nathan McKinnon is. Nathan McKinnon is the best player in the playoffs, and it's not even close.
Oh, Kucherov in the playoffs?
I'm talking about this year and this year. Yeah.
Yeah, Kucherov's playing in this playoffs. That's the whole debate with Tampa about how they're like $17 million over the cap, but the NHL's letting it slide because of LTIR.
Oh, well, look, this Tampa team is different from the Colorado team, okay? Kucherov is playing great, but he has a lot of his points have been when he's with Stamkos, Point, all those players. Nathan McKinnon has put up numbers without Landeskog on his wing and Cale Makar on the ice at the same time.
Look, I don't think you can say Nathan McKinnon is by far and away the best playoff performer. Especially.
He's better than McDavid. I'm taking him. He's the clutchest player I've seen in the playoffs in a long time. Just go back and look at the playoffs. He shows up every year. When he was a rookie, he was 19 years old. He was putting up numbers that were absurd against the Wild. Yes, they lost that series, but still, he's putting up numbers that were absurd. I'm sure you've seen the highlight before. It's him coming up and deking like the crap out of that Wild defender and moving by him, shooting it, and just ripping it on Devin Dubnyk.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't know. I don't think you can say by far and away, especially with the way Kucherov played in last year's playoffs and how he's playing this year so far.
Last year's playoffs, McKinnon was breaking records every single game. He was moving up on the racks of most points.
Was Kucherov not over, I think, 1.5 points per game?
No.
I'm checking it, but I'm almost positive he was. Let's see. What else happened? So, yeah, the Avalanche swept the Blues. That was – I don't know.
That wasn't really much of a surprise.
No one saw it coming, but at the same time, it's not like that's maybe like I don't want to say no one saw it coming, but at the same time, not everyone predicted it. Like, it kind of was, I don't want to say obvious, but the Avalanche were by far and away the better team. Very quickly, Nikita Kucherov last year, 25 games played, 34 points in the playoffs. That was last year. That was 1920. And this year, 5 games played, 9 points.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, I'm not saying he's a great player, but McKinnon last year in the playoffs, Nathan McKinnon scores point in 14 straight Avalanche to start postseason. He tied Messier and Orr for second longest streak in NHL history for points in consecutive games.
Nathan McKinnon's great. Don't get me wrong, and maybe I agree with you that he's the best.
24 points last year in the playoffs in 14 games.
24 and 14 and 15.
Mm-hmm.
Kucherov was 34 and 25. So he had 10 more points in 10 more games. So yeah.
Yes.
That would make McKinnon a little bit higher in point per game. Not a significant amount, but he was a little higher. I'm
Yep.
looking at some other stats, like some more advanced stats. Corsi, he's very good there. Um,
Hey, Kucherov is having a great year, but when I think of players I want in the playoffs, I mean, I'm taking Nathan McKinnon any day. And McDavid, I love McDavid. I don't know what's wrong with him in the playoffs. He's not showing up.
I don't know. I think he's playing. I don't want to say he's playing bad. Maybe he's not playing like regular season McDavid, but like how hard
He's
do you
playing
want this man to carry his team? It's a point where it's almost
Nate,
ridiculous
Nate,
how hard he's expected to carry the Oilers
Nate.
because
This
it's just him and
I
Draisaitl.
will tell you exactly why. Nate, I will tell you exactly why. This is a Winnipeg Jets team that was behind them in the standings.
Yep, and
Connor
Connor
McDavid is
Hellebuyck played incredible.
Connor McDavid is a generational talent. He's a amazing player. In the regular season, he put up 105 some odd crazy points. And you don't get a point in the first 2 games of the playoffs? 2 games? I don't think he went all year without getting a point in 2 games. And especially against a seed that was lower than you, that's unacceptable for a player like McDavid to do that. And I understand, yes, he had 3 assists in 1 game. Wow, it's crazy. They were secondary assists, and he had nothing to do with that. Nothing.
But Connor Hellebuyck proved again in this year's playoffs why he is one of the best goalies.
Nate, he was good. He wasn't great. He wasn't great. I watched all the games. He wasn't great. I didn't see him make any amazing stops like Carey Price has been doing. I didn't see him do that. No, that's why on the Instagram. I haven't seen any Hellebuyck saves on the Instagram. He's
but
not.
It's not that he makes this crazy save. It's that he just makes almost every save.
McDavid is supposed to do well, and he did.
He had what? He had 8 goals on 159 shots for a .950 save percentage in this year's playoffs so far. 4 games, 4 wins.
Yep.
That's insane.
But you got swept in the first round. I mean, what?
They were all close games. It was 3 OT games.
Hey, but guess what? If McDavid is great, so show up in one of those overtimes. Score a goal that's needed to be scored. Don't just not do anything. And I don't know if you watched the last play of the game in triple overtime. The defensive pair was changing. McDavid was supposed to get that puck deep. It got blocked and went the other way. Kyle Connor sniped and scored. That McDavid, I love McDavid. I think he's great. He's got to do better in the playoffs.
I just think it's not even his fault at this point. Like, the Oilers just really don't have a team around him. They have Draisaitl, and maybe you want to say
they were above them in the standings for a reason.
I mean, Winnipeg, we're not saying Winnipeg's a great team, but they're more well-rounded than the Oilers are.
Then why weren't they better than them?
Because McDavid and Draisaitl, I should say, carried.
So then carry them to the playoffs when it matters.
It's just McDavid he's the best player in the world, and that I don't think is up for debate. But he's just
not in the playoffs.
He doesn't have anyone helping him aside from Draisaitl. That's it.
Nate, Draisaitl was the leading scorer last year, second leading scorer this year. What else do you want? I mean, I understand. Darnell Nurse is a solid defenseman. Like, they have solid pieces. They should at least get to the second round with McDavid. At least.
I don't know. I don't think it's McDavid's fault at all. I think
I'm not saying it's on McDavid, but Nate, you get 3 points in a play. You get 4 points in a playoff series of 4 games. Yes, you were a point per game, but 3 of those points were secondary assists that you had nothing to do with. One of them was a goal. I mean, that you get 1 goal. 1 goal.
I mean, Hellebuyck was insanely dominant this series. The Oilers, like I've been saying, they have no depth. They have no scoring behind McDavid, Draisaitl, maybe Nugent Hopkins. Their coaching's awful, and he's making awful lineup decisions. And they haven't been able to really build a team with McDavid and Draisaitl ever since Peter Chiarelli. Like, they just –
But Nate, guess what? There's why is it that McKinnon shows up and McDavid doesn't? Binnington in the playoffs is a great goalie. He's
Jordan Binnington was awful this playoffs. I'm sorry.
What? Awful? Nate, the first game I have to the top of my head, he stopped 50 shots. 50. What do you mean he was bad?
Look, I'm
He was
not
one
a
of the
Binnington
best
fan,
goalies.
I'll say
Yes,
that,
it doesn't show it. But it doesn't show it. But he was one of the best goalies in this playoffs. He played great.
The year
I
he
was
won the
watching
cup, he was great. But this year he was what? 4
Nate,
games.
this year he was great. He had no
4
help.
losses, 8.99 save percentage in the
Nate,
playoffs.
don't bring up the win and losses. But Nate,
Okay,
he was
we'll
getting
bring up the
shot
win
at
and losses.
60 times a game. 60 times a game he was getting shot. He took 50 shots the first game.
He was not getting shot at 60 times a game. He was facing, on average, 35 shots a game. 35 shots a game, yes.
Nate, 35. Nate, I'm bringing up these playoffs.
2021 playoffs.
Yes, exactly. 2021 playoffs.
He had 139 shots against in 4 games. That averages out to 35 shots a game.
That's a lot of shots a game. That's a lot of shots. His first game, he averaged a .906 save percentage. First game I meant he had .939 save percentage. He had 49 shots on goal, 46 saves. Second game, 33 on 29. Third game, 25 on 24. Yes, that wasn't a great game. Last game, .906 save percentage with 32 on 29 shots. He had it above 9% save percentage on 2 of the 4 games and an .879 on one that he had 35 shots against. I don't know what else you want the guy to do. He was great in these playoffs.
He had 3.5 goals under expected. So he should have saved, theoretically, 3.5 more goals based on where the shots were taken.
But if you watch the games, you can understand that that the Blues defense
takes isolated impact. This takes out the defense. This just takes in where the shots were taken, how they're seeing power play, all that stuff. He had
So what were you saying?
3.4 goals below expected.
Yeah.
He had the under 900 save percentage. I think we cannot keep calling Binnington this great playoff goalie. He played great in 18-19. Don't get me wrong, he was incredible on that run. But 19-20, he had an 850 save percentage.
You just got it, Nate. Just watch the games.
I've been watching the games. He has not won a playoff game since 2018, 2019.
Nate, but he held his team in there for the whole game. He had 49 shots. 49. That's
49
and a team that's overpowered. The team that's overpowered with talent compared to a distraught Blues team, saving 46 saves on 49 shots, and then having above 900 save percentage on 2 of the 4 games. That's ridiculous.
You can't call him an elite goalie or a great playoff performer if he had a below 900 save percentage on both games. Or on
below 900 save percentage, 879, but he had 35 shots against. And if you look at those goals, all those goals were goals when the Blues defense helped him with nothing.
Look, this is on hockeyreference.com. This has him very similar to goalies like Howard Lockhart, Glenn Hanlon, Mark Fitzpatrick, Anthony Emmy, Darren Pang. Like, he has not been good this playoffs. Or he wasn't good this playoffs. He wasn't good last playoffs. He's not that good of a goalie. And he was great in 2018, 2019, but that's 2 or 3
I'd take that guy in my playoffs as a goalie any day. There's a reason why he won a ring. He knows when to show up in playoffs.
And he showed up in 2018, 2019. He had a 914 save percentage. He was great that year.
Yeah.
And then 1920, he wasn't good.
But Nate, the team got decimated. Petrangelo left. There's guys that have left the team that are big key parts of the team. It's not just on the goalie. The goalie showed up. It just shows in the first game, had 46 saves.
But then why is he negative 3.4 in goals saved above expected? He's letting in more goals than he should, than the average goalie would.
Because of the team in front of him is awful.
No. That has nothing to do with the team in front of him.
Yes, it does. Nate, I don't need to look at stats for this. Watch the games. Watch the goals he let up. All of them would be because the Blues couldn't help the goaltender out. I've watched all the games. I don't need stats to tell me anything. I have my eyes to see. The eye test tells me that Binghamton did everything he could to keep them in the game. Just look at the stat. Look at the goals right now. I'm looking at them right now. This is just awful defensive play.
He's so, honestly, I think he's the most overrated goalie in the league. To me, he's not that good. His stats show he's not good, right? This is looking at
Stats aren't everything, though.
isolated impact shows every stat you want, shows every part, and isolated impact only takes in his part. It doesn't take in the defense. It doesn't take in the forwards. It only takes in what he does. Connor Hellebuck was 7.5 goals saved above expected. Jordan Binnington over the playoffs was, I think I said before, 3.4. I'm looking again on a different website to see if they have a different.
And by the way, was Winnipeg playing against a high-powered team like the Colorado Avalanche? No, they weren't. Hellebuck, I'm not saying Hellebuck's a bad goalie, but you have to understand, back to what I was saying with Connor McDavid.
Statistically, he's a bottom 3 goalie this playoffs.
No, Nate, it's statistically stats. Nate, stats are different when it comes to goalies. You could just watch the game. I don't need stats to tell me. Watch the game. I watched the game. He played great. And frankly, Hellebuck, I'm looking at these. Hellebuck, yes, he played good, but you have to understand something, that Connor McDavid, back to what I'm saying, you have to show up. I don't care how good the goalie's playing. Hellebuck is a good goalie. You got to score on the guy. Hellebuck, I don't see him as, he's not a great goalie. He's a good goalie. You got it. He played okay.
Hellebuck is a
good.
top 3 goalie in the league. And
no, I disagree with that. This year, definitely not. But
okay, so in the playoffs, statistically wise, he's the best goalie, and you're saying he's playing against Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl in the regular season.
Yes, exactly.
Statistically wise, in the regular season, he was the best goalie. He had the highest goal saved above expected.
No. Marc-Andre Fleury's winning the Vezina this year.
Fleury's statistically the 3rd best goalie. So if you say Marc-Andre Fleury's winning the Vezina, that's fine by me. He was statistically the 3rd best goalie. You want to say he played against like harder competition or that's fine. But Fleury also played in 9 less games, right? The Winnipeg Jets played 56 games, right? Connor Hellebuck played in 45 of them.
Okay.
1, that's insane. 2, his ability
to. You just said that. Wait, that means that. Wait, how many games did Hellebuck play in?
45.
Okay, 45 games. How many games did Fleury play in?
36.
Okay. He's a goalie. You're supposed to play in a lot of games.
Okay, he played in way more than half. He played in almost all the games. He allowed more goals than Fleury, yes, but he had 19.3 goals saved above expected. Fleury was 17.9, so Hellebuck was a little bit better there. You want to go Fleury had a higher save percentage on unblocked shots. That's okay, so that's about even. That one I think goes to Fleury by a little bit. Wins above replacement goes to Connor Hellebuck. Hellebuck got, if you want to go minutes-wise, he had 450 more minutes than Fleury. Hellebuck and Fleury gave up more rebounds. Fleury gave up, and then I'm just looking on moneypuck.com, it's a good website for stats. His percentage of shot attempts. Vegas also blocked more shots than the Winnipeg Jets did. It's just Fleury, not saying Fleury played bad, and you want to say if Fleury deserves a Vezina, that's fine. But to say Connor Hellebuck isn't good or that he's not one of the top goalies in the league is just, that's absurd to me.
I think he's top 5. I don't think he's top 3. This year he wasn't top 3. I'd take Fleury over him. I'd take Vasilevsky over him.
I would not take Vasilevsky over him.
No, Vasilevsky is the best goalie in the NHL.
No.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Nate. Are you kidding me?
I still think I thought it was Hellebuck last year. I'm still going Hellebuck this year.
No.
And then I would probably have Fleury too.
No, Vasilevsky's the best goalie in the NHL. Everybody would agree with me on that.
Why?
Okay,
Why is he the
first
best
of
goalie in
all,
the NHL?
first of all, it's easy to say. He has a ring. He played great in last year's playoffs. Was arguably the best player in the playoffs last year. Goalie. Now,
1920. Look, statistically wise, he was the. I'm just looking through every category. Statistically wise, yeah, he was the best goalie in the playoffs last year.
exactly. So that'll just tell me alone. Best playoff goalie last year.
But Hellebuck's been better this playoffs so far.
Yeah, but they're not going to win. Vasilevsky is going to win.
But
I can guarantee you.
You just said before that when I was talking about Jordan Binnington, 0-9 in his last playoff games, the wins and losses don't matter.
Exactly. I said that because they played on better competition. That's the reason why I said that. The Winnipeg Jets played worse competition. Binghamton played Winnipeg Jets played better competition than hold on. I said Winnipeg Jets played better competition, like better. They had a worse competition than what the Blues did. Way worse. The Avalanche are a 10 times better team than the Oilers. That's the reason why I said that. Now, Andrei Vasilevsky, on the other hand, he was a great goalie. Had a 925 save percentage this year, 2.21 goals against average. He's incredible. He's better than Hellebuck. I don't know where
Vasilevsky is statistically the second best goalie in this year's playoffs.
Behind who?
Hellebuck.
What statistically? Let me see. On what?
Actually, hang on. Let me see if I could screen share on here. That would be cool.
Yeah, because remember, it's only the beginning.
Yeah, I mean,
and Hellebuck's played less games. Hellebuck's played less games, by the way.
One less game.
Yeah, one less game. That's a pretty big difference.
He's played one less game, but let in 8 less goals. Hang on.
Nate, sorry, you cut out. I didn't hear what you said.
He's played one less game. He's played one less game, but he's let in 8 less goals.
8 less goals against a worse opponent. You said it yourself. McDavid and Draisaitl don't have anybody else besides themselves. You said themselves. Maybe that's why he played so good. What maybe Hellebuck.
He has a higher goal saved above expected. Hang on.
Now I want you to. I can't wait till Hellebuck versus Toronto Maple Leafs when Toronto wins.
There you go.
And we'll see what happens then. Yeah, I'm seeing it right now. Okay, let's go.
This is from this year's playoffs. Yeah. Hellebuck, he has a higher
playoffs so far.
Yeah, so far. I mean, we're only 5 games in, so it doesn't mean too much. But these are your top 3 goalies from this year's playoffs. We're gonna go. Okay. So the worst goalies in this year's playoffs by goals saved above expected. The 2 worst are Yari and Bobrovsky, but anyone could tell you that. The third worst is Jordan Binnington.
Mm-hmm.
He's letting
Nate
3 more goals than he should have.
That he's playing one of the great teams in the NHL, the best team in the NHL. He's versing
but this does account for it. This does account for it.
I don't know.
He's expected wise based on difficulty of shots he's faced, based on type of shots he's faced, based on power play and all that stuff. He's expected to let in 10.84 goals, and he's let in 14.
I don't know. I don't know how these people are calculating this, because the goals that I've seen, every single one, haven't been. I mean, he's probably let up 2 bad goals. I don't see anything great. I mean, what? Sergei Bobrovsky?
Bobrovsky's been awful this playoffs. He's been.
I don't know where people get these things, where these numbers from.
This is tracked. This is very similar. Not similar to PFF, but similar to for football wise, Pro Football Reference. This is very similar to that. It's similar to baseball advanced stats.
Wait, can you go back? Can you go back to the thing for a second?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have Grubauer, Vanacek, Samsonov, Smith, Varlamov, Drager, Bobrovsky, Jari. Keep going down the line.
I believe so. Yeah.
Soros, Talbot.
I mean, if you go all the way down, then the bottom 3 is the best goalies. So I'm just gonna switch it.
Yeah.
Here.
So I mean, I'm just looking at those guys. And I see one thing that Bennington has that those goalies don't, besides Vasilevsky.
What?
That's a ring.
In 18-19, and I said he played very well in 18-19. But
yep, and he played very well in this year's playoffs.
Right, 18-19. If we're looking at this is 18-19 playoffs. Binnington is right here, 26 games played, so he played the most games. He had him and Tuukka Rask were the best, probably the best goalies here. And Ben Bishop was very good as well. So Jordan Binnington, yeah, in 18-19 he was great, but then we look at 19-20. Best goalie was Andrei Vasilevsky, yeah. But then
Vasilevsky's incredible.
Some of the worst goalies in 19-20, Jordan Binnington. He was let in 5 games, he had 5 losses and let in 2.8 goals more than he should have.
Is this in the playoffs? This is in the playoffs. But Nate,
that was
last year's playoffs. Nate, I take last year's playoffs with a grain of salt. The circumstances that people had to deal with, it's very different. You got to take that out of account.
Fine, but then what about this year's playoffs? He's been bad.
This year's playoffs, he didn't play bad. He got 46 shots. 46.
If we look here, keep in mind, Jordan Binnington is the third one.
And he had 4 games played.
He let in more goals than he should have. He let in 3 more goals than he should have.
I can't wait to see what Hellebuyck does if he plays the Avalanche or Toronto Maple Leafs, because I can guarantee you he won't play great. He would not play great against a team. And Toronto's not even as loaded as the Avalanche. That's what I'm trying to say.
We'll see, but Hellebuyck
and the Blues are a worse team. You have to take into account, Nate. The Blues are a worse team than the Jets, and the Jets were playing a worse team than who the Blues.
I would say the Blues decor is better than the Jets decor.
That's the decor. I'm talking about the teams that they versed. The Blues are a worse team than the Jets, and the Jets were playing an Oilers team that just has Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, and the Blues are playing the present trophy winner. You have to take that into account. Bing did everything he could to keep them in that game.
Into account.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't take that into account.
Yeah, he was expected to let up 10.84 goals based on all the shots.
How can you calculate that, Nate? How do you calculate expected? It's the playoffs. Nobody knows anything in the playoffs. Stats can't tell me anything in the playoffs. The playoffs are different every year. Every year the playoffs are different. You can't be like, oh, because this team puts up 3 goals a game in a certain amount of games, then they're going to score 10 goals on this guy. That's not how it goes.
This is how expected goals and expected goals against is calculated. See, look. It is calculated by comparing it to thousands of shots recorded earlier based on factors such as distance, position of defenders, type and speed of pass, type of shot angles, and various other aspects. So it takes into account everything. Putting it simply, each shot is assigned a particular value between 0 and 1, with 1 being the highest chance of scoring and 0 the lowest. Say if a player decides to take a long shot from outside the box, then its probability of finding right past the keeper would be definitely less than 1, maybe even less than 0.1 based on past data for similar situations. Similarly, if a player is provided, this is soccer, but it's the same, this is going to be soccer, but it's the same calculated, same way it's calculated. Similarly, if the player is provided with a chance to simply tuck in the ball, then the probability of scoring would be somewhere towards the upper limit. So yes, it takes into account everything. It takes into account thousands of other shots. It takes into account everything. You could say it takes into account last playoffs and all that sort of stuff.
I still don't trust that stat. I don't care what they say. Nate, I watched the game with my own eyes. Binnington did everything he could to keep him in that game. Everything they could. Why do you think NBCSN was talking about him the whole entire playoffs? Because he was the guy to keep them in the series. He was the only player on that team. O'Reilly didn't show up. Tarasenko showed up for 1 game. The team was decimated. Nate, you have to understand, a player that's on a bad team. This guy's in Patrick Waugh, okay? A player that's on a worse team, significantly worse team, with loaded offensive talent on the other team. He's going to get killed. A lot of goalies, they're going to get killed. And they lost Pietrangelo, their captain. What else do you think was
Pietrangelo went to Vegas, but look, Binnington expected goals against was 10.84 right here, we see. Hellebuyck expected goals against was 15.47. Hellebuck was
That's because
expected.
okay. I can guarantee you why that because they thought McDavid was going to show up, which he didn't. He didn't show up in the playoffs. They thought,
But
oh,
it
McDavid's going
doesn't
to have
have to
this amount
do.
of points.
I know it's weird uh it's weird, and it took me a long time to understand this because the wording, I guess, is weird. But expected goals against, they don't calculate it before they shoot. They calculate it after they shoot, after the shot's taken and all that sort of stuff. So while it's expected, it's weird. Don't get me wrong, because I agree that maybe it could be worded better, but it's expected after. It's calculated after, not before. It's not them saying, "Oh, it's McDavid, so we think he's going to score." It's, "Oh, McDavid shot from the right circle. We're going to look at thousands of other shots and the save percentage and all that sort of stuff and how that goes in." So it's expected not just because it's McDavid, it's expected based on the shot type and all that sort of stuff.
Nate, now let me ask you a question here. If you have Binghamton and Hellebuck, Binghamton, okay, you could say whatever you want. I would disagree with that. Hellebuck played really good this series. I thought Binghamton played really good in the other series. Now, Hellebuck has the Blues won that year, right? Hellebuck's been
18-19.
Yep. Hellebuck's a good goalie. Would you rather have a goalie that's good for a long time but never wins, or a goalie that takes his team to the playoffs in his rookie year? His rookie year took him to the playoffs. People have down years, and he didn't even have a down year. He played fine.
But
There's a reason why.
We'll look at the regular season. This is the regular season. I'm looking for Binnington. If you're saying he played fine, because you know what, maybe he played well in the regular season and bad in the playoffs. All right, so I'm looking for Binnington. He was statistically average.
Mm-hmm.
Statistically average here, average. He was basically it's this one right here. Statistically, he's about average all around. This is right here. Puck freezes. I really could not care how much he freezes the puck. I'm sorry.
And guess what? I don't care about the regular season. I care about the playoffs. And
but
in those
he's played bad in the playoffs too.
He didn't play bad in the playoffs. Oh my gosh, Nate! No calculator or calculus thing is gonna tell me what my eyes saw. My eyes saw that if he could have stopped that shot, I would have said he could have stopped that. And most goals, he couldn't even see the puck. He couldn't see it. I don't care what mechanism they have. My eyes tell me what I see. And what I see, I will disagree with that any day. Binghamton played fine to me. He did. Look at this. It's Spencer Knight. He played one game. I can't even take
this. He played very well that one game.
Yeah, he played very well, but he played one game, and they already have him. What is he? The 1, 2, 3, 4. He's the sixth best goalie in the playoffs.
This is because I have it based on goals saved above expected. If we go here, see it changes. So if you want to look at other stats, this is
then why are we looking at goals saved above expected?
It's the best way to measure it. What stat would you like to look at up here? Save percentage above expected?
Yeah, let's take a look at that.
This is the worst are up top, and the worst here is Vitek Vanacek. Jordan Binnington is the fifth worst. Varlamov is the fourth worst. This is save percentage above expected. Binnington is here. How about wins above replacement? Binnington is the third worst goalie on wins above replacement.
That's wins, though. That's they're totally different stat.
How about rebounds? We'll go off rebounds, because rebounds are very important. Rebounds. Binnington he's good with rebounds.
Look at that. Right. Second best goalie in the playoffs compared to rebounds.
Rebounds wise, I believe so. Yeah, he is the second.
Second best.
Yeah, second on rebounds. Which
is a big stat.
Oh wait, no. He's second worst in rebounds.
What do you mean? You just said second best.
I thought it was second best. But look, see, he's here. He's the second one here, right?
Yeah.
Rebounds above expected. You want this to be a negative number, so you're giving up less. He's giving up more rebounds than he should.
No.
Yes.
Where? Let me see.
See, this is so he's expected to give up 0.035, so a small number. Not by a lot, but he's giving up more rebounds than he should per save.
That's not by a lot. I'd take that with a grain of salt.
Not by a lot, but compared to, I just want to see who the best here is. The best here, Vanacek, Bobrovsky, and Cam Talbot. That's interesting.
Vanacek's the best. That's why I can't even take this seriously.
Vanacek. Rebounds.
Yeah. So why even looking at this if Vanecek's the best? I mean, come on.
I'm
This
looking what
isn't
other stats they got here. Uh, Not much, but goals saved above expected and wins above replacement is probably the best measure.
it's got a ring though. That's all I care about.
And
He's gonna
I agree with you. He played so good in those playoffs.
Hey Nate, he played fine in this year's playoffs. He didn't play bad. Just because he went up against a great team in the Avalanche doesn't mean he's a bad goaltender. That doesn't mean anything. That's just like saying when Johnny Van Rietbroek was one of the finalists for the Vezina in 1992 and went against the great Montreal Canadiens and played like awful. That means he's not good.
No, but I'm
That's like
taking into account this is the past 2 years we've seen Binnington underperform.
and go to the year before. Don't even. I don't count last year. Last year was a crazy year.
What about last year regular season? Because last year regular season was normal. Jimmy Howard was the worst goalie in the league, and I agree with that. Last year regular season, we are looking at to narrow this down. I'm going to say Binnington played above 21 games. I'm just going to assume because I want to say he did. Binnington is on goals saved above expected. He was a little bit above average.
Look at that.
In the regular season, but last year's regular season was normal. But then we go to
the playoffs last year. He was great.
last year's playoffs.
No, not last year's. I meant the year after. I meant the year after, before.
Yeah. So last year's playoffs, he was bad.
Yeah, he was.
18, 19, I agree with you. He was good. Vasilevsky was actually very bad. 18, 19 playoffs. Yes, because this was the Columbus year. That was the Columbus year they swept him.
And look at the stats that I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Vasilevsky is great, and I think that Fleury is great too. I would consider Vasilevsky is hands down the best goalie in the NHL. He's great. He's not. Hellebuck is not better than Vasilevsky. He's
why?
Just not.
Because he's not as flashy, or
no, because Vasilevsky's just better. He's just better.
At
and
what?
He's better at. He's more acrobatic. He's better at cutting down the angles. I mean, what else do I have to give you? He keeps his team every time. He's more clutch than Hellebuck. I can tell you that much. Hellebuck hasn't done anything in the playoffs.
You just won 3 OT games.
Okay, let's see if he gets past the second round. We'll see if he gets past the second round. He'll probably get killed by the Maple Leafs. Now, Vasilevsky doesn't. He's gonna win the next game for them. And
I believe they're up 3-2 in the series, right? Or are they down 3-2?
Yep. No, they're up 3-2. And they're gonna win the next game, move on, and they're probably gonna win the cup again this year. I think they're my pick to win the cup.
Tampa?
Yep.
I feel like they could. I don't know.
Hellebuck.
They could.
Hellebuck. You could say all the stats you want. Hellebuck. Has he even gone past the second round in his life? I don't think so. No, he has never gone to a conference finals in his life. So I don't care what the stats say. I've seen that. All I've seen is that Binnington has a ring and Hellebuck doesn't, and that says a lot.
And Binnington played so well in those playoffs. I agree with you.
He did. Why can't Hellebuck have a year like that if he's so good?
Hellebuck's having this year like this. This year he had it last year in the regular season. He had it this year in the regular season.
How come he didn't win?
How come he didn't win?
Yeah, Blues were the 4th seed. They won. They beat the Bruins in the finals. Binnington single-handedly took him there.
He did not single-handedly take them there. The Blues are a great team.
He was a great team. They were the 4th seed.
They were the 4th seed. They still were a great team. They had Ryan O'Reilly, Alex Pietrangelo, Vince Dunn. They had did they have Tarasenko or was he injured? I think they had Tarasenko.
No, they had Tarasenko. Yep. He's the goalie is one of the most important pieces on the team. He was the second most important piece on the team besides Ryan O'Reilly. He would have won the Conn Smythe Trophy. It wasn't for Ryan O'Reilly.
Look, just Connor Hellebuck. He's statistically the best in this year's playoffs.
Stats aren't everything, though.
Then what's wrong with them? These take in only isolated impact.
Nate, stats aren't everything. I'm just saying, if Hellebuck's so good, why can't he have a season like a playoff season like Binghamton if he's so good? He hasn't because he's not as good as him. He's better in the
He's
regular
having it
season,
this
yes.
year.
He's better in the regular season, yes. But in the playoffs, he's not.
He's literally having a better season than Binnington's 18-19 season this year.
And we'll see how long that lasts. They'll probably lose in the second round.
And this is interesting. Hang on. Okay. I just figured out we could do this. All situations. 5-on-5, Hellebuck has let in 6 goals. Right? He's let in 6 goals on an expected almost 12 goals against. 5-on-4, UC Soros is the best goalie here, I guess, when they are on the penalty kill. The worst goalie here on the penalty kill is Bobrovsky, but
Jordan Binghamton. Look at that. Go down. Jordan
Binnington is statistically he's even. He's even.
Mm-hmm.
Expected goals against 0.3, and he let in. Oh, okay, so that's fine. 4-on-5. This is gonna be my worst. By best, the best goalies when shorthanded. Or is this? I don't know. I'm having trouble reading this graph. That may just be me.
What is this? 4-on-5? I'm so confused.
This is 4-on-5. Hellebuck again. Expected goals against 2.06, and he's only let in 1. That's insane.
What is that? 4-on-5? Like power play? So wait,
I would assume that's a penalty kill, right?
No. 5-on-4 is the penalty kill. This has to be shorthanded. This is shorthanded.
So if it's shorthanded, then his team is not playing well in front of him because they've let up what should have been 2 goals that he only let in 1.
Yep.
And Binnington here on 4-on-5 is the worst.
Yep. He's got a ring, though. More than Hellebuck does.
Yeah. In 18-19, Binnington was not good 4-on-5. 5-on-4, not good. 5-on-5, he was probably incredible 5-on-5, right? Yeah, he was incredible when it was even strength.
Yep. And look, all I gotta say is that Binghamton, if Hellebuck's so good, he could take his team to the finals, and he could do what Binghamton did.
The Blues roster in 18-19 is better than the Jets roster is now.
No, Nate. The Jets were Nate, but this is goaltending. He was rookie. He was a rookie and took that and won the Stanley Cup against a Boston Bruins team that was loaded. Nate, and we're talking about Hellebuck right now. I can't wait till he just. You know what he does? He just plays awful against the Toronto Maple Leafs, lets in like 5 goals a game, and because listen, Toronto's the type of caliber that the Avalanche are, and guess what? Hellebuck doesn't play the Avalanche, so that's another loss. Hellebuck's in the weakest division in the whole entire NHL. So who cares what he did this year in this regular season? Who cares what he's doing in the playoffs right now? Because it's against the Edmonton Oilers.
He's in the weakest. He was expected to let up 131 goals and only let in 112. That's insane.
Nate, these are – I can't understand what these graphs are. I don't care about the stats. I look at my eyes, and if they say when he loses, because he's going to lose the next round, he's not going to win against the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's not going to play well, and they're going to lose. And then we'll see what the stats say. We'll see what the stats say then, because then I can guarantee you he'll be right there with Binghamton, and I could use the stats against you. It'll be the same thing.
What? If he underperforms, then yeah, I'll say you're right. But
yeah, he had and then what are you going to say about that? Oh, he had a bad playoffs. Okay, then Binghamton had a bad playoffs last year.
No, I'll say you were right, and Hellebuck underperformed. But the thing is, they could lose, but if Hellebuck keeps playing the same way he's playing, that's not his fault. If he keeps saving them, right?
Binghamton was playing great. Nate, he had 50 shots on goal one game. What else do you want the guy to do? Against them?
How about, let's see, he lost them Third worst, it looks like. Third worst in wins above replacement. So he wasn't winning them games. He was losing them games for the most part. Tristan Jarry.
How is he losing them games? Did you watch the first game? He kept them in it. How do you Nate, these stats are the most stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. I don't agree with any of these stats.
How? What would you like to go off? Save percentage? Because he's not very good there.
Go off a save. He had a 960 save percentage one game. 960. How was that not?
Hellbuck had a shutout one game, did he not?
That's not that. Yes, he did. He did have a shutout, but he faced 23 shots.
Save percentage on unblocked shots. This is the worst goalies on unblocked shots. Binnington is statistically the 6th worst. Expected save percentage. Save percentage above expected on unblocked shots. Binnington is the 6th worst. Goals saved above expected per 60, which is per every 60 minutes played. The best is actually Spencer Knight, but that's only because he played the one game. This is per 60. Binnington, 5th worst. Goals above average. Best here is.
And Nate, remember, these are going off the people's this money puck opinion. They're thinking, oh, he has to stop that, so they're going to put it down. But look at the goals that he's letting up. These goals are not bad by any stretch of imagination.
He's not good with rebounds, right? I believe he wasn't. He was.
No, he wasn't. That's what the stats said.
No, he's 2nd worst. He's giving up the 2nd most rebounds.
I don't.
Statistically wise, he has not been good.
Okay, he had a bad playoffs. I just go back to 18-19 when he won the Stanley Cup. That's all I got to say.
2 years ago. That was
and
2
he
years
still
ago.
won. Has Hellebuck won? No, he hasn't. That's all I care about.
But
if Hellebuck was so
good, care about the fact that Binnington's 0-9 in his last 9 playoff games.
Because Nate, if you're a great goalie, you should win. Now that goes with Henrik Lundqvist too. That's the only thing that's keeping him from saying he's one of the great goalies of all time, because he has never won. That's the reason why. Winning as a goaltender is huge. Look at all the great goalies.
I consider Henrik Lundqvist one of the best goalies of all time.
I don't, because he didn't win. He never won. He didn't win.
The Rangers never put a great team around him.
Great team? They got to the Stanley Cup final for a reason. What do you mean?
2014, actually.
Matthew Guerrero.
That was 14, 15, or 13.
Ryan McDonough, one of the best defensive cores in the NHL. They had good goaltending. He didn't play great in that.
That was 13-14, right?
Yep.
13-14. We're going to go off goals saved above expected. The best goalie in that playoff was Henrik Lundqvist.
And look at the second best, Jonathan Quick.
Jonathan Quick, yeah. We're going to go best goalie off goals saved above expected, Henrik Lundqvist. The best goalie, goals saved above expected per 60. Henrik Lundqvist is 6th, my bad. That was awful counting. 6th. Save percentage above expected. The Henrik Lundqvist is 5th. Wins above replacement. Henrik Lundqvist is 1st. He won them 2 games in that playoffs. I believe that's Jonathan Quick. Jonathan Quick.
Playoffs did he win them 2 games?
What?
What playoffs did he win them 2 games?
13-14. This is Lundqvist.
Mm-hmm. And guess what? They didn't win them when it mattered.
I do wish I could see by round.
Talk about rebounds. You see that rebound every time when he gave up to Alec Martinez. Talk about rebounds.
Rebounds above expected. The best goalie rebounds above expected was Cam Talbot was up there. He was good. Best goalie rebounds above expected.
That's a huge stat. Lundqvist is not in the top 5. He's probably there he is. Look at that.
No. This is going off by worst. I believe that's here, right?
Yeah.
Is he?
And he's in the average.
Slightly better than average, but you want to call it average? Okay, he was average with rebounds. He was the best goalie that playoffs in 13-14. So yes, Lundqvist is one of the greatest goalies of all time.
Hey, Lundqvist is a great goalie, but the only thing Nate, all the great goalies win. Binghamton
Jimmy
won.
Howard won
Lundqvist.
a cup. He's not great by any means.
I'm saying if you're considering a player great, I don't care about Jimmy Howard. I'm talking about a great goaltender. If we're talking about Henrik Lundqvist versus Martin Brodeur, I'm gonna take Martin Brodeur.
Oh, I am too. I never said Henrik Lundqvist is the best goalie of all time, but to say
Neither is
he's
Martin
not
Brodeur.
one of the best.
Brodeur's not the best goalie of all time, but Henrik Lundqvist compared to Martin Brodeur, if Henrik Lundqvist won a cup, then it would be a different story. Maybe you can actually have a conversation about it. But Martin Brodeur won one cup. Henrik Lundqvist didn't. That's why I give the edge to Martin Brodeur.
I would take
That's what I'm talking about.
I would take
Just
Patty
because
Waugh, Brodeur,
Patrick Wall.
and maybe
Yep.
Dominic Hasek before Lundqvist.
Yeah. Of
That's
course, you have
That's
to.
it.
And all those goalies won. Hellebuck hasn't won. Binghamton has won. That's why I give the edge to Binghamton. And I don't care about the regular season. I care about the playoffs. And I don't care about COVID year. I don't care about COVID.
All right, so
I'm talking
but
about
what about
the
this
year
year?
before that. His rookie year, he won the playoffs. This year, Nate, he had a good playoffs. He didn't play bad. I don't care what the stats say. First game, he let up an empty netter. That was an empty netter from Nathan McKinnon. He let up a screenshot from Cale Makar in this game. He let up a one-timer from Nathan McKinnon in the slot, which most goalies wouldn't save. And then he let up a deflection goal. Okay, what goals should he have saved? None of those he can't save. Maybe the Nathan McKinnon shot, but it's in the slot, clear shot. What are you going to do? It's one goal.
Hang on. I want to see if I could find a stat for just that game. But statistically, Jordan Binnington we have is down here with the Sergei Bobrovsky, who has been awful this playoff, with Tristan Jarry, who you saw last night.
Look at that. That's a perfect example. Sergei Bobrovsky is a great goalie, but in the playoffs, he didn't play well.
I'd put Sergei Bobrovsky closer to a bottom 10 goalie than he is a top 10 goalie in the league right now.
Right now, but not in the regular season.
In the regular season?
I mean, this one deflected. I mean, I don't know what else. That's deflection goal. You can't stop deflection goals.
Regular
They're very
season,
hard to
Sergei
stop.
Bobrovsky played how many games? We'll say limit at 23. Well, one, Hellebuck was the best regular season goalie. You want to say Fleury? Fine, but say Hellebuck isn't even in that conversation. It's ridiculous. Sergei Bobrovsky. This kid's got to cut it out. Yeah, okay. George keeps calling me. That's besides the point. Regular season, Grice was bad. Sergei Bobrovsky. Binnington was bad. That's about even in regular season. Hang on. I know how I can find this quicker. But in the regular season, Sergei Bobrovsky was not great. Florida. Sergei Bobrovsky let up 8 more goals than he should have in the regular season.
Yeah, crazy.
He has not been good this year.
Yeah, he wasn't good this year. Now, when we're talking about goalies, we're going to see what Hellebuck does this because I'm telling you.
Last 19-20, he wasn't good.
I think Hellebuck is a good goalie. I do. But I think I'd rather have Binghamton in the playoffs. In the playoffs, I'd rather have Jordan Binghamton.
This is playoffs, Binnington, just so we have the stats right here. Bad this year. You want to go regular season this year? He was average here. He was pretty much average, I think we said all season. 19-20, he was slightly above average, and then in the playoffs last year he was bad. 18-19, in the regular season he was good in the 18-19, right? We said 18-19 he was very good.
He was great. And in the playoffs, he was the best goalie in the playoffs.
And 18-19, best goalie in the playoffs. He was great in the playoffs, but I don't know if I'd say he was the best goalie. I think Rask was better in the playoffs than Binnington. Maybe better.
I don't think that. There's a reason why Binghamton won the cup and Tuukka didn't win the cup.
Statistically, Tuukka was by far and away the best goalie.
He should have won the cup if he was by far and away the best goalie. If
It's not
he
just
should
about
have
the
been.
goalie; it's about the entire team around him.
But the Bruins had a better team than the Blues. They had a better team. And Tuukka was by far and away the best goalie, then they should have won the cup. But guess what? They didn't because Binghamton was better. I don't care what the stats say. Binghamton was more clutch than Tuukka in bigger situations, which there isn't a stat for that. Your eyes tell you in bigger situations, Binghamton came up bigger than Tuukka.
Not throughout the whole playoffs. If you want to say maybe he was better in the finals.
In the finals, of course. I'm talking about when they were head to head. He was a better goalie. Game 7, he went to Boston, and didn't he get a shutout that game?
Game 7.
Or what was it? 1 goal? Yeah, it was 1 goal he let up, I think. That's absurd.
Jordan Binnington had a very good season in 18-19, but aside from that, he really has not been good. And I
disagree. Besides last year, because I don't talk about last year, I talk about this year. He didn't have a great season this season, but in the playoffs, he performed really good, in my opinion. I saw him seeing all the goals that he let up. I'm watching the highlights right now. These are not bad goals. I mean, every single goal. They're not bad goals. They're deflected. Half of these goals are deflected. How are these people going to say that goals saved above expected if it gets deflected? How are you going to say that? Because guess what? It's the playoffs. There's no calculate thing for the playoffs. There's just not. You go look at stats all you want. I don't agree with it. Now Hellebuck, we're gonna have to see what he does against Toronto, and I think that they're gonna probably get done in 5, if not less than that.
I mean, we'll see. Hellebuck, Toronto's a much better team than the Jets.
And the Avalanche were a much better team than the Blues.
Toronto's a much better team than the Jets, but if they lose, I would be very surprised if it's Hellebuck's fault. Because he's played so well.
We'll see.
He's been the best goalie in the playoffs so far. And
we'll see.
He's been the best goalie in the playoffs so far. And Winnipeg, I really do not think is a great
team. If there's one goalie I'm taking in the league, I'm taking Andrei Vasilevskiy. And that's not even a debate, in my opinion. He's the best goalie in the NHL. When clutch wise, he might not be the best stats wise, but clutch wise and stats wise, he's always up there. And I'm taking him. He has size, he has athleticism over Hellebuck. Hellebuck is a goalie that he's not very aggressive. He doesn't cut down the angles as well as Vasilevskiy. Doesn't have as good of a glove as Vasilevskiy. And those are the stuff I'm just seeing with my eyes. Hellebuck's not as good as Vasilevskiy, and Vasilevskiy played in a way harder division than Hellebuck did this year.
Vasilevskiy also had a much better defense than Hellebuck did this year.
Yes, but Hellebuck played in against worse teams.
I mean, you want to say that, but statistically, the North really was not bad, right?
They weren't better than you know whose division, the Tampa Bay's division.
Statistically, I think the North was actually a top 2 division this year. I could be completely mistaken. Statistics-wise, based on goaltending and shots and all that sort of stuff. But if you look at this.
No, because you just look at the stat. What happened?
Hellebuck was expected to let in 20 more goals than Vasilevskiy. And this was very close, 19.3 and 18.2. And then Fleury at 17.9. So I'm not saying Hellebuck is miles better, but Hellebuck, I think, is better. He's better stats-wise. And you said
he's in a worse division.
He's in a worse division. He had to play the best player in the world, and he had to play some of the other best players in the world. He had to play McDavid.
Best player in the world, that doesn't go up in the playoffs.
This is the regular season right here. You want to go playoffs? Hellebuck's still the best in the playoffs so far. He had to play Draisaitl. He had to play
doesn't have a ring, though.
What?
Doesn't have a ring, though.
Doesn't have a ring. There's a lot of great goalies that don't have a ring. Henrik Lundqvist doesn't have a ring.
Yes, that's what separates him from being in the top conversation. What other goalie besides Henrik Lundqvist, doesn't have a ring. That's in the Hall of Fame. That's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Name
Besides Henrik Lundqvist that don't have a ring, that are in the Hall of Fame or going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head.
Yep. Go ahead. Take your time. I'd love to hear it. Because guess what? There's not a lot. Because guess what? Great goalies win. And don't give me this. Winnipeg's a good team. They could win the cup if they have stellar goaltending from who you claim is the best goalie in the NHL, which I don't agree. I think he's top 5. He's not top 3. I go Vasilevsky, Fleury.
I think it's really Hellebuck then. Hellebuck, probably Hellebuck 1.
No.
2 is
I said it's
Curtis
Andre
Joseph
Vasilevsky.
never won a ring.
I go Andre Vasilevsky. I go Marc-Andre Fleury. I think Tuukka's up there. I think Carey Price is up there.
Carey Price was not good in the regular season. He's been great in the playoffs. He has been amazing in the playoffs. But in the regular season, he was not good. You said Tuukka as well. Tuukka, regular season, he was good, yeah. I know he was good. It is very hard to keep track of every goalie. But great goalies who never won a ring, Curtis Joseph, Ron Hextall, Roberto Luongo.
Ron Hextall was not a great goalie. Nate, Ron Hextall was not a great goalie. I've talked to
John Van Beesbrook.
And a lot. John Van Beesbrook's not even in the Hall of Fame. I said Hall of Fame goalies. And
Hall of Fame.
If you look at those, I love John Van Beesbrook. But I'm talking about Hall of Fame goalies that have never. I love John Van Beesbrook. Hall of Fame goalies that have never won a Stanley Cup.
Hall of Fame goalies.
And I said, remember, there might be 1 or 2. But other than that, there's not. Van Beesbrook isn't in the Hall of Fame. Ron Hextall had 2 good seasons for the Philadelphia Flyers. He sucked after that.
Still a great goalie. He's still a great
No,
goalie.
he was not great, Nate. He was not great.
Pull up his stats.
Pull up the stats.
Hextall.
He had 2 great MVP seasons.
Ron Hextall, stats-wise, career.
895 save percentage, 298 goals against average. That's it.
You have
That's awful. That's awful for a goaltender. 895 save percentage in his career.
So you're saying that's awful for a goalie, right?
895 in his career. In his career.
895 in his career. Jordan Binnington's career NHL playoffs save percentage is 903. Not much higher.
Okay, but that's playoffs, and we're talking about. We're talking about Ron Hextall here. We're not talking about Jordan Binnington. I don't know why I'm bringing Jordan Binnington in. I said great goalies that have never won, and guess what? There's probably not even 2.
John Van Beesbrook.
My point.
Curtis Joseph.
Curtis Joseph. Yes, he never won. John Van Beesbrook. He played for the New York Rangers. He was a great goalie. But guess what? He's not in the Hall of Fame. I said Hall of Fame.
I'm going to look up a list of every Hall of Fame.
Curtis Joseph isn't even in the Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame goalies without a ring. Top 10 best NHL goalies to never win a cup. This is released 2020. Roberto Luongo. I think he's a Hall of Famer. Luongo, Lundqvist, Curtis Joseph.
Curtis Joseph not in the Hall of Fame. Ron Hextall not in the Hall of Fame. Kaprizov not in the Hall of Fame. Luongo's not in the Hall of Fame yet.
He will be. He deserves to be. Van Beesbrook.
Yep.
Even Ryan Miller. Ryan Miller was great.
Not in the Hall of Fame, though. I said Hall of Fame.
I mean, Miller retired this year. He's not in the Hall of Fame. He might be, though.
He might be. But I'm talking about Hall of Fame goalies that haven't won a cup. And guess what? There's not one. Because great goalies win championships. And they lead their team to the promised land. Hellebuck hasn't done that. Binghamton has, and that's why I give the edge to Binghamton. I don't care how many Hellebuck and Binghamton. And also, Binghamton just played 3 seasons of his career. First season won the cup. Second season was the COVID season. Totally different circumstances. This season, they didn't have a great team around him. Yes, he according to your stats, didn't play great in the playoffs. I thought he played good. I didn't think he played amazing. I thought he played really good in these playoffs. And how much do you want from the guy? He's won.
Save
That's
shots.
what separates him from the rest. What?
I would want him to make some saves. Like, statistically, he was awful.
Nate, it's against the most high-powered team. He wasn't awful. These stats.
But this takes into account.
It doesn't, though, Nate. It doesn't take it into account. It doesn't take into account.
Isolated impact.
No, Nate. It doesn't take into account if the team is the present trophy winner and that you have a broken down defensive core, not even with your captain back. It doesn't take that into account. How many of those goals were power play goals? How many of the goals were power play goals? I'd love to hear it. I will guarantee you less than how many goals they score in these playoffs. I forget. I would probably say just a little bit less than half.
4, right? 4.
Okay, so 4 games played. What was it saying?
4, it looks like 4 power play goals.
4 goals against. Go to 5 on 4. Maybe that's what we're talking about.
0 on what is this? This I'm assuming this is when the Blues are on the power play.
Yeah.
He's faced, it looks like, pretty much 1 shot. Right. Save percentage.
Yes, but before we go, let's go back to my thing about great goalies. Great goalies win championships. You can't even name me one that's in a Hall of Fame that hasn't won a championship.
Henrik Lundqvist will be in the Hall of Fame. Roberto Luongo will be in the Hall of Fame. Ryan Miller will be in the Hall of Fame.
Guess what? They're not in the Hall of Fame right now. Ryan Miller's not going to.
They got to be retired for 3 years.
But I said right now. That's why I said right now. They haven't gone to the Hall of Fame right now, or everybody's won a cup.
Curtis Joseph, I know he's not in the Hall of Fame, but he was an all-time great goalie. John Van Beesbrook was a great goalie. Mm-hmm. You don't have to – winning a cup doesn't make you great. You could be carried to a cup.
But right? Great goalies, great players that are great goalies win championships. And that just shows it, as I said, in the playoffs. They won the championship, and they're in the Hall of Fame.
Bad goalies still win cups too, right?
Bad goalies win cups, yes. But we're talking about the great of the greats. And great of the greats win championships.
But it doesn't. That's not always how it works, right? Lundqvist is an all-time goalie.
It does, though. Yes. But what puts the rest above him is the championships. Because they carried their team to the promised land. Lundqvist didn't.
He carried his team to the 2014 final.
No, he didn't. Nate, that's absurd if you said that. There's no way he was a very big part, just as Binghamton was. He had a really good season. But
statistically wise, he carried his team to that final.
He didn't carry them. He had a great playoffs, yes, but he didn't carry them single-handedly, Nate. That the Rangers team that year, I watched every game. I remember like it was yesterday. I watched every game in that playoffs. He was great. The team was just as good as every other team and better than every other team.
Not the Kings.
Not the Kings, yes, exactly. And guess what? Lundqvist didn't come up in those finals. Why don't you hold on to that rebound for me, not let it up. Or else maybe you could have won it. Maybe you could have won it.
So one save. You're judging that entire playoffs off one save.
No, because you said rebounds are the hugest, one of the biggest things. No. So I'm
the biggest is wins above replacement and expect goals saved above expected. But even rebounds above expected, you want Lundqvist. What did we say? He was about even. He was about even, right? That's negative 0.002, so he's slightly above average in rebounds above expected.
Yep. And as I said, great goalies, they win championships.
Not always. He can play very well, and his team Like they got.
Not really, not real, Nate. Because Nate, this is a totally Nate. Are very different from goalies are very different from a lot of other sports. Goalies, look at I hate to say it, Ilya Sorokin stole that game for the
Yeah, he played
Penguins.
very well.
That's just an example of what a goalie could do. Lundqvist could have done that. Look at Patrick Waugh 92. 86, I think. Single-handedly took that Canadiens team that had no business being there, won the cup at 19 years old. 19.
Ilya Sorokin, he's been very good this playoffs. He
Yep.
Just looking at his Ilya Sorokin is on top. Yeah, Ilya Sorokin's on top. He's won them 0.35 games. So yeah, he pretty much stole that game last night.
Yes, exactly.
That
So,
being
and
said,
look at that. Lundqvist did. As a goalie, you could steal games. Lundqvist could have stole a game, but he didn't.
he
Patrick
stole
Waugh
2 games
has
at
stole.
playoffs.
What? No, he didn't. What game did he steal? I don't know. How do they have a point for that? I don't even understand what these guys. How do they have a calculator for that or whatever?
It
And
has to
equate
do
it.
with the average goalie and how much they would let up based on shot type, and it takes into account pretty much everything here.
Yeah.
But
I just
Lundqvist,
wish that
statistically, he stole them 2 games. On that
What
note,
about in the finals?
it is getting late. I think we've been at this for I think like an hour and a half ish, hour 45. You want to
Yeah,
call it
true.
here?
Yeah, we could call here. All I gotta say is that goalies that are great. I think Hellebuck is a very good goalie. He's definitely top 5. I don't think he's better than Vasilevsky. Vasilevsky's the best. It's not. I don't think it's. I think it's not even a debate. The great goalies win championships, and that's why I love Binghamton. Binghamton, he's a great goalie in the playoffs, and maybe it didn't show it. Maybe the stats don't show it this year, but trust me, it will show it again in another year. And if Hellebuck's so great, then let's see him do something. Let's see him do something other than getting swept or getting out the second round, first round, and not just being the Winnipeg Jets again. Let's see him do something.
All right, yeah. Thank you for everyone watching. Thank you, Mike, for being on today.
Yeah, no problem. We gotta do this again.
Yeah, this is again being recorded Tuesday, May 25th. Probably will be uploaded tomorrow morning or tonight. But thank you all for watching. Hang on. Thank you all for watching. I'm trying to find the record button.